Instagram and Facebook world. Ben France here, Benjamin France Music, back for, I believe this is episode number 7. Sorry, turning down the monitor so we don't have issues with feedback. Turn down the monitor volume. I believe this is episode 7 of Guitar 101, Lunchtime Lessons. Hey, Someday Pilot, Chris. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Hope things are doing well for you in Arizona. Basically, if you're just joining in on what these are lessons that I'm doing, beginning intro guitar lessons, doing 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at 1:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's GMT minus 5 hours, so Greenwich Mean Time, it's 6:15 p.m. right now on Wednesday the 15th, I think. Usually these are about 15 to 20 minute short lessons just to get people up and going on the basics of learning how to play guitar, whether you have an acoustic or an electric, as long as you have 6 strings. These lessons will apply to you. So, every lesson builds upon the previous one as far as previous knowledge. I do upload these lessons. They're live streaming on my Instagram, obviously Benjamin France Music, and on my Facebook, which is facebook.com/BenFranceMusic. I also upload the rebroadcast of these on the Facebook page and as well on my YouTube channel, which if you search YouTube for Benjamin France Music, you will see them on there as well. I would highly recommend, if this is the first time you're tuning in, going back and reviewing the previous lessons, because like I said, every lesson builds on the last as far as basic knowledge and basic skills. So if you're looking at episode 7 now, the assumption is you've seen episodes 1 through 6 or you have access to them, so I'm not going to cover everything that we've done up until this day, because that would start becoming very unwieldy as far as the amount of time, pardon me, and not corona, seasonal allergies, not corona. Although I am part of many states that I am at home, which is why these are lunchtime lessons. I do work a day job, and I'm currently working remotely from home, so this is my lunch hour. Hence me having the time, the chance to give back to people and teach them a little bit about the instrument that has given me so much love and joy over the past 30 plus years of my life. So anyway, we'll real quickly review what we learned last time. Last time what we learned was our 6th chord, which was the B chord or the B major chord. We learned that in this position where it sounds like this. That is based off of the top 4 strings. Your notes there are a F sharp, a B, a D sharp, and another F sharp. Now, on previous lessons I've talked about how when we're learning what's called the first position or the first form of a chord, we're typically going to have the root note in the bass, meaning it's going to be the lowest pitch note is going to be the note that is the first note we hear if we're strumming from the lowest note to the highest. You'll notice, however, I'm calling this a B chord or a B major chord, and our first note I just said is an F sharp. The reason we're doing that is because the first position of a B chord or B major chord technically would be this guy, what's called a bar chord. Sounds like this. However, when you're just learning how to play, you're just starting out barring your strings, meaning taking your first finger, putting it on string number 5, and laying it down all the way across string number 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pressing down with enough force to hold those strings down can be a little bit of a challenge when you're a new player and you're still building up that finger strength, which we've talked about in previous exercises with previous activities. So instead of playing the first position B major chord like this, where we get that low B note, we are playing it just with the top 4 strings like this. The fingering on that is middle finger on string number 4, and that is the 4th fret. Ring finger on string number 4 of the 3rd string, pardon me. Fret number 4 of the 3rd string. So let's start that again, just to make it clear. Middle finger, string 4, fret number 4. Ring finger, string 3, fret number 4. Pinky finger, string 2, fret number 4. And our first finger, our index finger, string 1, is fret number 2. That gives us our B major or our B chord. We also learned last time how to convert that to a B minor chord, which we've talked about previously. It involves taking the 3rd note of the chord and lowering it by 1/2 of a step, which is equal to 1 fret on a guitar. So B major or B becomes B minor. So that is what we learned last time on our previous lesson. Today, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do some basic switching between chords, and I'm going to work with you all on 2 chords that are relatively easy to switch the fingering on. These are chords we've covered previously. We're not going to add a new chord in. And then we're also going to learn the basics of the major scale, what makes up the major scale. That may be jumping ahead a little bit as far as knowledge, but I think it's a good thing to know because you'll start learning melodies and how your chords, which are your harmony in music, things like this, start learning how melodies, single notes, play along with that, both theoretically and how it works with our ear, where we can play something. If we're playing over this chord structure, we can play something that makes sense. So, anyway, let's start out, though, just jumping ahead just a smidge. Let's start out by learning a way to switch between 2 chords. For today's exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to refer to one of our main chords that we learned, which I believe was chord number 4. That was our C chord. That is this guy, or C major. The fingering on that is, just as a review, ring finger on fret 3 of your 5th string. That's your C note. Middle finger on fret 2 of your 4th string. That is an E. 3rd string open, no fingers on it. 2nd string with your 1st finger on fret number 1. That's a C. It's your root note, again. And the 5th string, which is, or pardon me, the 1st string, which is your high E with no fingers on it. So that's our C, or our C major chord. Now, what I'm going to show you how to do is how to switch really easily from C major to A minor. Those are in the same key, and we'll talk more about that later. They play really well together, and they sound really well together. Sound really good together. That's what I was just showing you previously, which is going from here to here. Okay, so we've got our C chord to start with. We've talked about our C chord fingering, C major, this chord. To change your C chord, to change to A minor, to switch, it's very easy, which is why we're starting with this one. You're going to take your ring finger that's up on fret 3 of string number 5 on your C note. You're going to lift that finger off, and you're going to move it over and put it on fret number 2 of your 3rd string, which is an A. So you're literally going from here and moving it down here. I'll vibrato the strings. You can see which one on the video I'm moving. We're starting here, ring finger on fret number 3 of string 5, and we're moving that finger, keeping the other 2 fingers where they already were, here. So we're taking that ring finger, and we're moving it off of that fret number 3 on string 5, off the C note. We're putting it down on fret number 2 of string number 3, which is an A. And if you remember from our previous lessons, string number 5, if we have no fingers on it, if it's open, is also an A. So, C major, or our C chord, lift that 3rd finger, reposition it to fret number 2 on the 3rd string, A minor. Those 2 chords go very well together. So practice that a few times. Go as slow as you need to go. If you need to look at your hand like this, that's okay. Build your C chord. Strum that. Practice lifting that 3rd finger off, putting it back down there on fret number 2 of string number 3, and then strum again. And if you want to practice picking while you're doing this, you can pick the individual notes just going straight down and then straight back up. That's actually what's called an arpeggio, or arpeggiating the chord, meaning that you're playing the individual notes instead of playing it as a strum. So you can go follow along with me here. You can start on string 5 on your C chord, do this. Then move that third finger, do the same thing again, starting on string number 5. And move it back. If you've been working on your picking, like I've been telling you all to do, and working on practicing the difference between down picking and up picking, you could even just go down, pick down the individual notes, or strum down the individual notes on your C chord, and then when you switch your third finger to the A minor, you can strum up, or you can pick up. So that would sound something like this. Strumming down on the C and then up on the A minor sounds like this. Picking would sound like this. Okay, so there's our first chord change, learning how to change chords. So practice that. Spend a lot of time on that. As slowly as you need to go, as much as you need to watch your fingers to see that my finger here is on fret 3 of string 5. Now I'm moving it, it's on fret 2 of string number 3. Now it's back on fret 3 of string 5. Now it's back on fret 2 of string 3. Go as slowly as you need to until you get comfortable with that. The more you do it, the more you're going to develop muscle memory where your hands just going to naturally know what that looks like. Or you'll get to the point, I'll lift up my glasses so you can see my eyes here, where it doesn't matter if you can see it or not. You can have your eyes closed, you can still... So, that's our chord change for today. Practice that. I know it's just going between one chord to the next, but it helps. The more you do that, the better you'll get at it. The other thing we're going to cover today, real briefly, is we're going to cover how to make a major scale. We're going to start our major scale in a... We're going to start on a G. And we're going to start on the G on the 6th string. So that's fret number 3, if you remember correctly. That is our G note on string number 6. That's the lowest G we have on a standard tuned guitar. So, how you make a major scale, it follows a specific pattern. Remember when we talked about this previously, we talked about the fact that you have whole steps and half steps on a guitar. A whole step means that you're going 2 frets between a note. So you're going 3 to 5, or 6 to 8, or 9 to 11, or 12 to 14, or no fret, 0 to 2, or 1 to 3. Those are whole steps. You also have half steps. Remember we talked about previously, a half step is 1 fret between notes. That would be like 3 to 4, 7 to 8, 11 to 12, or 0, open string, to 1. Okay? This is important to remember what the difference between a whole step and a half step is. The reason it's important is because we're going to learn the formula now on how we build a major scale. A major scale is actually what's also called the first mode, and it is called Ionian, is the mode of it. That's jumping ahead a little bit to kind of file that away in the back of your head. Ionian equals major. And it's a very weird word. It's not something that's like a common word in the English language. You don't say, hey, how's your Ionian today? But remember that, 'cause it's got to be good to know. So, the major scale, it is based on a specific formula that we can very easily learn when we're playing guitar. Doesn't mean I don't want you to know your notes, because I do. We need to build up your fretboard knowledge of what fret is what note in what place. But to get the general thing of a major scale down, what we're going to do is we're going to learn it based off of a formula. So let's say we're starting with our G note, which is, remember, 3rd fret of the 6th string, our low G. So We're going to do this real basically here by just doing this with one finger to start with. So you see the steps, the intervals between notes. So for a major scale, if we're starting on the G, for a G major scale, if we're starting on the G note, which is fret 3, what we do for the second, note number 2, we move up a whole step. So we go up to this fret. We remember a whole step is 2 frets, we go up to 5. Then we go up another whole step to fret 7. So far we've got our bass, whole, whole. Starting point, jump 2 frets, jump 2 frets. And we're doing this just with our first finger right now, just for ease of learning, okay? So bass, jump 2 frets, jump 2 frets. Bass, whole step, whole step. Our next note, our fourth note, we go a half step, which remember that's 1 fret, so that's here. So, bass, 2 frets, whole step, 2 frets, whole step, 1 fret, half step, 2 frets again, another whole step, 2 frets again, another whole step, 2 more frets, another whole step, and finally 1 more step, 1 fret, a half step. So let's go back through that real slow. Major scale, our bass note, we do a whole step, we do another whole step, we do a half step, we do a whole step, we do another whole step, another whole step, and a half step. That's your G major scale, playing it all on the 6th string, starting on fret 3. So let's do those by the fret numbers. So for G major on your 6th string, you have by fret. I'm just going to tell you the numbers. We have 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14. And then 15 is the octave. And remember we said an octave is 12 steps apart, which we can real quickly count that. If this is number 3, we count up 12 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're at 15. So let's do that one more time by numbers for our major scale. Remember we're on the 6th string. We're starting on fret number 3, which is our G. So by numbers it's fret number 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Now let's go over what those notes are. That's our G, is our first. That's the root in a G major scale. The next one, fret 5, is an A, so that's our second. Remember, we count these up starting with our root note being 1. So if 1 is G, 2 is A, because we start over after G in the alphabet. Fret number 7 is a B, so that's it is the note B. Pardon me, not to make it confusing. So that's our third. Fret number 8 is our fourth. That's a C. Fret number 10 is our fifth. That's a D. Fret number 12 is our sixth. That's an E. Fret number 14 is our seventh. That's an F sharp. And fret number 15 is our octave, which is back to a G. So that's a G major scale, and the very easiest way to play it, one finger on the 6th string, just going straight up through the frets, going fret number 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Okay, next thing we're going to do, hey Alex, thanks for joining. About to wrap up Guitar 101, episode number 7. We just learned the very basic, easiest way to play a G major scale, just playing it across one string. We're just reviewing that now. So, starting once again with our G on the 6th fret, the 3rd fret of the 6th string, we have G, A, B, C, So, what we learned today, we learned an exercise on how to switch between chords. We did two chords that are very easy to switch between. Our C major chord, which is this guy, and our A minor chord, which is this guy. Remember, practice strumming those. Move that third finger from fret number 3 of string 5 down to fret number 2 of string 3. Leave your other fingers in the same spot. Practice strumming it up and down strokes. So. And practice picking that, arpeggiating the chord, picking the individual notes. And remember, we talked about practice picking it both up and down strokes. So pick down on your C, and then up on your A. Awesome, man. Awesome. This is just real basic stuff, just kind of get people going and get them started. So you can alternate and play with your strumming pattern, whatever feels natural to you and sounds good. Probably just doing this is a very good way to start learning what that sounds like and start getting used to that finger going back and forth between here and here. Remember, we said the goal is to get that where that's just muscle memory, where you don't have to look at it, you don't have to think about it, it just happens. So, once you get comfortable with it, you can play around with strumming. We also learned our G major scale. Remember, we just learned that on the very easiest way to play it, starting on fret number 3 of our 6th string. If you want to, remember I said that the major scale is a pattern. How we're learning it right now, we're learning it predominantly on a pattern. That pattern was whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret. So since that's a pattern, you can play around with that starting on different notes as long as you remember that whole, half, whole, half. So you can do things like you can move that down a string, start on your C. If we're starting on C, what does that mean? That's our root note, so that would be a C major scale. Whole, half, whole, half. So that'd be a C major scale. That scale you're going to note goes really well with this chord. Practice that on different places, anywhere, as long as you remember that pattern, and you don't need to know all the specific notes at this point. We're going to work on some fretboard knowledge, probably on the next lesson, start putting together where different notes are on different parts on the fret. But as long as you remember that pattern, whole, half, whole, half, or 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, starting with your bass one, and then you move up 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, or starting with your bass note, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. As long as you remember that, that is your major scale. So no matter what note you start on, that same order is going to give you a major scale of whatever that note is. So if you start on your 1st fret, that's an F. So that's going to give you an F major. There's your F. So you go whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That's an F major scale. Same thing anywhere on the fretboard, any note you start with, if you follow that pattern, whole, half, whole, half, that means then that you're playing a major scale starting on whatever note you begin with. And this is, of course, assuming your guitar is in standard tuning, which we talked about a long time ago, but just to review, from the lowest string to the highest is E, A, D, G, B, E. As long as it's tuned that way, that's always going to be the case following that pattern is always going to be a major scale. So even if we jump up to here, to D sharp, if we follow the same pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, there's a D sharp, that note, major scale. Okay, that's about it for today, folks. That's 25 minutes, which is usually about how these lessons run at the longest, because I am, like I said, on lunch break from my day job with me working from home currently. As a reminder, these lessons do rebroadcast. I put them on my Facebook channel on facebook.com/BenFranceMusic, and they also go on my YouTube channel if you search YouTube for Benjamin France Music. And as I said at the start of this lesson today, this is lesson number 7 of Guitar 101. I do build on the previous lesson. We do it 3 times a week, so if any of this is new and you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, go to facebook.com/BenFranceMusic, or go to YouTube and search Benjamin France Music and look for Guitar 101 and start with episode number 1. We'll continue on from there. I stream these every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That is at 1:15 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, minus 5 hours. You can also follow me, of course, on Instagram if that's where you're watching me currently. That's Instagram. My profile is under Benjamin France Music. On Facebook, the aforementioned facebook.com/BenFranceMusic. And on YouTube, searching for Benjamin France Music as well. I'm also on Twitter occasionally, not as active on there, under Ben France Music. And I do have Twitch set up, even though with Twitch, I haven't really got started on it yet, but I'm going to start doing that. Additionally, let's see, I have a question. Okay, you want to learn the key of D, Alex. Okay, so tell me what you mean by the key of D. Are you talking about D major, or are you talking about D minor? Because there's a difference there. D major would be that chord, D minor would be that guy. So if you're wanting to learn the key of D and you're wanting to learn a D major scale, take what we just learned and apply that starting on your D note. So if we're starting on D, which is fret 5 on string 5, okay, then to do a, hey Jen, thanks for dropping by, just wrapping up Guitar 101 episode 7 here today. So, for a D major scale, Alex, what you would be doing is you'd start on your D and you'd apply the formula we just learned. So that would be a D, then we'd go 1 whole step or 2 frets, which is an E. That's our second. We go another whole step or 2 more frets, which is a F sharp. We go a half step now, which is a G. We go another whole step, which is an A. We go another whole step, which is a B. We go another whole step up here to fret number 14, which is a C sharp. And then we go a half step, which is fret number 15, which is back to our D. So those are these notes. So there's your D major scale, Alex. So if that's what you meant by learning the key of D, there's your major scale. There are also different things regarding chords and what chord we play for keys we're in, if we're in a major or a minor key, what the specific chords are. For instance, if we're in D, our third of D is going to be D, E, F. And so then we learn, is our chord a major or a minor chord if it's our third chord? And that's stuff we're going to get more into as we go further into these lessons. But there's your basic D major scale, Alex. So if you're saying you're wanting to learn the key of D, that's a place to start. If you're playing a D chord, I'm going to let that D note ring. Then your D major scale is, let me see if I can get that note ringing. So it'd be like this. Whoop. So hopefully that helps. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Just wrapping up Guitar 101 lesson number 7. So that is it, folks. We ran long today. This has been about 30 minutes. Usually these are about 15 to 20, maybe 25-minute lessons tops because I am on a lunch break at this point. So once again, feel free or please follow me here on Instagram, Benjamin France Music. You can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/BenFranceMusic. That's where I upload all the replays of these lessons. And you can also follow me on YouTube just by searching Benjamin France Music, and the replays of these lessons are uploaded there as well. If you have any questions about these or comments, please feel free to question or comment on the videos. You also can just email me directly. I'd be completely happy and fine with you doing that. Email me directly just at benjaminfrancemusic@gmail.com. So that being said, this is the end of episode 7, folks. We'll be back on Friday the 17th at 1:15 p.m. for episode 8, where we'll delve a little deeper into the major scale. We'll work a little bit more on changing between different chords, and we'll start putting some pieces together on the major scale and how we translate that across different strings. So our G major isn't just this. Pardon me. But it's something like this. So, that's it for today. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you all on Friday. Bye.